Ouch. Rylie Jeffries addresses controversial comments, then drops a bomb. After weeks of silence, the name Rylie Jeffries suddenly began trending again. Not because of a new show, but because of her truth. The once bright and cheerful face from Big Brother 27 had disappeared from the spotlight after the finale. Fans had wondered why. Others had already decided what to believe. But behind the noise, behind every harsh comment and cruel rumor, there was a young woman trying to heal from something no one had truly seen. Rylie had entered the Big Brother house full of fire, smiling, playful, unafraid to show emotion. She laughed the loudest. She cried the hardest. Her friendship with Morgan, her quiet connection with Vince, and her sudden emotional breakdowns had been the talk of the season. Some called her dramatic. Some said she was pretending. And yet, no one ever saw what was really happening when the cameras turned away. After her eviction, everything changed. The outside world wasn't what she expected. There were headlines. There were screenshots. There were thousands of strangers judging her life, her choices, her emotions, her truth. She stayed away from social media for weeks, deleting every comment, every memory tied to the house that had once been her dream. But silence doesn't last forever. And when she finally spoke, the internet stopped. Her statement began like a whisper in the storm. She wrote that she had been mentally drowning during her time in the house. That she wasn't acting, she was surviving. Every tear, every outburst, every trembling moment had been real. She revealed how isolation broke her, how trust became impossible, and how some moments never made it on air. The ones that hurt the most. And then there was something else. Something her words hinted at but didn't fully say. A truth heavier than heartbreak, deeper than any game twist. It was coming, and no one was ready for what she was about to confess next. The post that began as a quiet confession turned into a storm that spread faster than anyone could have imagined. Within hours, Rylie Jeffries' message was everywhere. Screenshots on fan pages, hashtags flooding social media, and even her former Big Brother 27 housemates reacting with disbelief. But no one could look away. For the first time, Rylie wasn't a contestant. She wasn't a character. She was a person telling her truth, raw, unfiltered, and heartbreaking. She wrote about the nights when she couldn't sleep inside the house, when every whisper behind her back felt like knives. She admitted that some days she would cry in the bathroom, muffling her sobs so that the cameras wouldn't pick it up. She confessed that there were moments when she wanted to leave, when the pressure of being watched 24/7 made her feel like she was losing herself. Rylie revealed that she had entered the game while already struggling with her mental health. The producers had known she was nervous, but she hadn't told anyone how deep her anxiety really went. "I thought I was strong enough," she wrote, "but I wasn't ready for the way the world would turn me into a headline." Her words cut through the noise like truth often does, clean, cold, undeniable. She didn't blame anyone by name, but fans quickly connected the dots. She mentioned betrayal, not in the game, but in friendship. A person she had trusted the most in the house had shared her private fears in front of others, using them as strategy. That single act had changed everything for her. Rylie never confirmed who it was, but the fandom already had their theories. Some pointed fingers at a close ally, others at a housemate who had once comforted her on screen. The speculation was endless, but Rylie refused to clarify. "It's not about revenge," she said. "It's about healing." The world saw a new side of her. Not the emotional girl crying on camera, but a woman who had been silently fighting for her own peace. She ended the post with a single haunting line that made the world stop scrolling for a second. "You only saw the game. You never saw the pain." Within minutes, her words became a rallying cry. Celebrities reposted it. Mental health advocates reached out. Even former Big Brother contestants sent her messages of support. But buried beneath all the love was a deeper curiosity. What did she mean by "you never saw the pain"? Was there something that happened behind the scenes? Something the cameras didn't show? Something darker that she was still afraid to say? That question lingered in the air for days, until Rylie finally broke her silence again. And this time, it wasn't just an emotional confession. It was something much, much bigger. Something that would shake Big Brother 27 to its very core. 3 days after her first post, Rylie Jeffries returned to social media again. No warning. No teaser. No PR statement. Just a single black and white photo. Her face half in shadow, half in light, and a caption that read, "You want the truth? Here it is." The world froze. For hours, nothing followed. Then late that night, she posted a video. It wasn't glamorous or edited. No lighting, no makeup, no background music. Just Rylie sitting on her floor, wrapped in a hoodie, her eyes red and tired. Her voice was quiet, trembling, but steady enough to hold the weight of everything she'd been carrying. "I stayed silent because I was scared," she began. "Scared of being called a liar. Scared of losing everything I worked for. And scared that no one would believe me." She paused for a long moment, breathing through her shaking hands. "I wasn't just struggling mentally. I was being manipulated." Her words hit like thunder. She revealed that during her time inside the Big Brother 27 house, she had felt constant pressure, not just from other contestants, but from people behind the cameras. She said that certain producers encouraged her to lean into the drama, to show emotion, to be the one everyone talks about. At first, she thought it was normal, just part of reality TV, but as weeks went on, it began to break her spirit. "They wanted a storyline," she whispered, "and I became it." Her video continued, every word more powerful than the last. She described moments when she wanted to walk out, when she asked for help but was told to wait until the next round. She explained how she felt trapped, not just inside the walls of the house, but inside a version of herself she didn't recognize anymore. Her voice cracked as she said, "I remember looking at the mirror in the bathroom one night, and not knowing who I was anymore. I was smiling for cameras that wanted me to fall apart." Thousands watched speechless. The comment section turned into chaos, some defending her, others demanding answers from the show. Former contestants weighed in, hinting they'd seen similar things. But Rylie wasn't finished. The final part of her confession was the most haunting. "There was one night," she said softly, "that changed everything. You didn't see it. It never aired. But that was the night I stopped being the person they wanted me to be." She didn't describe what happened, not fully. She just said that after that night, something inside her broke completely. She couldn't trust anyone, couldn't sleep, couldn't even remember what was real anymore. And then came the line that turned every headline into fire. "I walked out of that house alive, but not whole." Her words echoed across every platform, every article, every fan page. For the first time, the glamorous world of Big Brother 27 looked darker, heavier, realer than anyone had ever imagined. And while the internet was still processing her story, Rylie ended her video with a small, trembling smile. "This isn't revenge. This is freedom." The video ended. No outro, no music, no message, just silence. But that silence said more than any sound could. The next morning, Big Brother 27 was no longer just a show. It had become a question, one that the world demanded answers to. The morning after Rylie's video dropped, the internet didn't wake up, it exploded. Her name was everywhere, on headlines, trending pages, podcasts, morning shows, even late-night talk segments. But none of it felt like gossip anymore. It felt heavier, realer, like the whole world had suddenly realized that the story they thought they knew was only half told. Clips of her trembling voice were replayed over and over. Influencers reacted. Former Big Brother contestants cried on live streams. And inside the fandom, a war began, between those who believed Rylie, and those who refused to accept that their favorite show could have gone that far. Every second, the views climbed higher. Every hour, new headlines appeared. Rylie Jeffries exposes hidden truth behind Big Brother 27. Emotional manipulation allegations rock reality TV industry. Fans demand CBS response after Rylie's heartbreaking video. The network stayed silent. But silence, in times like this, only made the noise louder. Then, former contestants began to speak. Quietly at first, in small comments, in cryptic tweets. One said, "She's braver than any of us." Another wrote, "It's time people knew what really happens." And just like that, Rylie wasn't alone anymore. Her story had turned into a movement. People began revisiting old clips from the show. The scenes where she looked distant, her smile forced, her eyes unfocused. Fans started to notice the details they had missed. "Look at her hands," one post said. "She's shaking." Another wrote, "We thought she was acting. She was crying for help." As the truth spread, something remarkable began to happen. Rylie's once tarnished reputation transformed into something powerful. She became a symbol, not of scandal, but of survival. Mental health advocates reached out. Documentaries were discussed. A foundation offered to work with her to raise awareness about emotional exploitation in reality TV. And for the first time since the show ended, Rylie smiled in public again. But while the world praised her courage, the storm behind the scenes grew darker. Producers were questioned. Contracts were examined. Statements were demanded. Leaked emails and deleted clips began surfacing online, suggesting that Rylie might not have been exaggerating at all. The fandom that once debated alliances was now fighting for accountability. Every episode of Big Brother 27 was being rewatched, not for entertainment, but for evidence. And as journalists dug deeper, one thing became painfully clear. Rylie's story wasn't an isolated one. There were others. Contestants from older seasons, names long forgotten, who started to whisper their own stories. Stories of exhaustion, pressure, and scripted chaos disguised as reality. They said Rylie gave them courage. The news cycle refused to let go. Rylie's single video had turned into a cultural reckoning. A moment when millions realized that reality TV wasn't always real, and that the cost of entertainment could sometimes be a human soul. And yet, even as the truth unraveled, Rylie remained calm. She didn't fight with networks. She didn't call out names. She simply said, "If my story makes just one person feel less alone, then it was worth everything." Her calmness was almost haunting. It was the peace of someone who had walked through fire and made it out alive. But just when people thought her story had reached its end, Rylie dropped a quiet message on her page again. One line that sent chills down everyone's spine. "There's one more thing I haven't said." The world froze all over again. Because if what she had already shared could shake an entire industry, then what was still left unsaid? For days, everyone waited. Every hour felt like a countdown. Rylie Jeffries had promised there was one more thing left to say, and the world held its breath. Her followers refreshed her page every few minutes. Entertainment outlets predicted what it might be. Was it another secret? A new twist? Something darker than before? But when the moment finally came, it wasn't a press statement. It wasn't a video. It was a letter. Rylie posted a picture of a handwritten note on cream paper, the edges slightly folded, her handwriting small but steady. The caption read only one word: closure. The letter began softly, almost like a goodbye. She thanked her supporters, her fans, the strangers who sent her messages when she couldn't sleep, and even those who doubted her, because their disbelief had made her stronger. Then she wrote about the night she couldn't talk about before, the one she had only hinted at. She said it wasn't violence or scandal. It wasn't about who did what. It was about how she had broken, truly broken, and realized that no show, no fame, no camera, would ever be worth her peace again. She described sitting alone in the Big Brother diary room long after filming ended that night, whispering to herself just to remember what her real voice sounded like. She said she had cried so long that she forgot there were cameras in front of her. And when she finally looked up, she didn't see lights or production crew. She saw herself reflected in the black lens. "For the first time, I didn't see a contestant," she wrote. "I saw a girl who just wanted to be loved for who she really was." Those words hit harder than any accusation. There was no anger in her letter. Only honesty, only healing. She wrote that after leaving the house, she spent months in therapy learning how to breathe again, how to smile without pretending, how to trust herself when the world kept calling her dramatic. She said that writing her truth was never meant to destroy anyone. It was meant to save herself. "The show gave me fame," she continued, "but it also took away the version of me that believed fame was happiness." Her letter ended with something that silenced everyone who read it. It wasn't a confession. It wasn't an apology. It was a promise. "I will never go back to the house again, but I will keep the lights on for anyone still trapped inside theirs." The image of her words spread like wildfire. People printed them, quoted them, painted them across walls. Mental health groups began calling it the Rylie Manifesto. The entertainment industry couldn't look away anymore. Networks announced new mental health guidelines for reality contestants. Producers faced questioning. And within weeks, Big Brother 27 went from a game show to a wake-up call. For Rylie, the fame faded, but peace returned. She moved to a quiet town, away from cameras and lights. Sometimes she posted pictures of sunsets, coffee cups, or her dog sleeping beside her, always with small captions like, "Peace is loud," or "I'm still here." Fans never stopped following her, but they learned to respect the silence she kept. Because that silence wasn't empty anymore. It was healing. And though the world still talked about Big Brother 27, the story was no longer about alliances or betrayals. It was about one girl who had the courage to break the illusion and speak her truth. In the end, Rylie didn't just open up. She opened a door, one that would never close again. Months passed. The storm that once consumed Rylie Jeffries' world had finally begun to quiet. The headlines faded, the noise softened, and the world, for the first time in a long time, stopped talking about her and started listening to her. She didn't chase fame anymore. She didn't need to. The girl who once lived under 24-hour surveillance now found peace in the silence of her own heartbeat. Every morning, she walked barefoot through her small garden. Wildflowers she'd planted herself, each one symbolizing a memory she once wanted to forget. The air smelled like rain and healing. And when she looked at the sky, she didn't see camera lights anymore. Only clouds moving freely, just like she wanted to. There was no applause now. No spotlight. But she was finally free. One evening, as the sun fell low behind the hills, she sat by her window, watching the colors melt into gold. Her reflection shimmered faintly on the glass, not as the girl from Big Brother, not as the controversy or the trending name, but as Rylie. Just Rylie. She whispered softly to herself, "You made it out." And for the first time, the words didn't sound like survival. They sounded like peace. Letters still arrived at her mailbox, handwritten notes from strangers across the world. Some said she gave them courage to speak. Some said her story saved their lives. Others simply wrote, "Thank you for being real." Sometimes she cried reading them, not out of pain, but out of understanding, because she finally realized her breaking wasn't her end. It was her beginning. In the final scene of her story, if there ever was one, she didn't stand on a stage or walk a red carpet. She stood in her garden, wind brushing through her hair, sunlight warming her face, the world quiet around her. A small smile curved her lips as she looked toward the horizon and whispered one last line. The one that would live forever in the hearts of those who heard her truth. "I was once a story they edited, but now I'm the one writing it." And with that, she turned away from the light, not to hide from it, but to finally walk into her own. The screen fades to black. No music. Just the sound of her laughter, soft, real, and free.